Morning, Flo. How's it going?
Morning.
Wanted to ask you, the Patriots players you brought in over the years, how has bringing those guys in helped you with what you want to do here, whether it's, instilling the culture or already knowing some defensive principles that you want to run?
Well, I mean, first, and foremost, it's about uh, us feeling like they fit as people, just from a character standpoint, and then, as players. I mean, obviously understanding the system is part of it. Leadership's part of it. Uh, but overall, at the end of the day, it's about talent and what we think is their ability to help us help our team and this organization.
And just regards to, guys that you've known and kind of came up with over there, to give them the opportunity and to kind of have the opportunity to reunite with them again, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it's for the guys that we brought in from there. I mean, obviously there's familiarity and relationships there, and understanding of what I try to represent, what we try to represent, and which is guys who are tough and smart and love to play and compete and the team first. So I mean, there's familiarity from that standpoint, and understanding of that, uh, and hopefully they can put those things into action.
Adam?
Good morning, Brian. It's been pretty widely reported that you were pretty flexible with how the off season would go, flip flops and all that, to help kind of assuage some of the fears, not the fears, but the concerns of the PA. I was curious, have you gotten out of this what you normally would? Has there been any difference in this, and how encouraged have you been by the turnout?
Well, congrats to you, Adam. I hear I hear you're leaving us.
Thank you. I'll still be around.
On to greener pastures. But specific to the question, I think we've gotten a lot out of it. Look, this time's about communication and fundamentals and techniques and learning the playbook, understanding the playbook, having an understanding of concepts offensively, defensively in the kicking game, building rapport with teammates. We've been able to, work on some just individual techniques and fundamentals. And then, communication, cadence, shifts, motions, adjusting the shifts and motions. So I think we've gotten, quite a bit out of it, and we still have, today and next week, and then mini camp. So hopefully we get a lot more out of it.
Thanks for the kind words.
Cam?
Good morning, Flo. How you doing?
Good.
We've talked in the past about that free safety spot being a communication spot. Obviously there's no starters yet, but with a rookie maybe competing for that role in Javon, how much do you put on him as far as communication, as far as kind of leading the back end of that defense early in his career?
I mean, I think all the rookies have a lot kind of on their plate right now. New environment, new playbook. You got to learn the names of your teammates, the people in the building. So they got a lot on their plate, along with Javon and Jalen and Jalen Phillips and really all the rookies. This is I would call it a step-by-step process, and more than this thought that we're going to put everything on them and say, hey, learn it all. It's more, hey, here's a coverage, here's some terminology, and then we get a feel for how quickly they learn it. And this is all positions. This is not specific to Javon. How quickly they learn it, how much, how well they understand it conceptually, can they communicate it, and then you give them more, and then you give them more, and then at the end of the day, their role is going to be what they make it and how much they can retain and then communicate out in those kind of let's call them signal caller positions. How much they can retain and then communicate to the rest of the group. It's really up to them, I guess, to answer your question, Cam. So there's no, hey, it's going to be this timetable, or hey, we're going to give them all this information. It's really about how much they can retain and how much they can handle. And as rookies, that's something we're getting to know him, and we'll try to figure that out through time. But he's done a good job thus far, I would say.
Joe?
Hey, Flo, good morning to you.
Joe?
We spoke to Tua recently. He said a lot of things. And one of the things that got a lot of attention is when he said this. He said, I didn't actually know the playbook necessarily really, really good. What are your thoughts on that and him having been, a rookie?
Yeah, my thoughts on that are, they kind of go back to what we talked about last week, with him being more comfortable, him just having better command in the huddle right now. And honestly, I just think he's comparing last year to right where he is right now. So, and I get it. I understand that. I remember being a first-year position coach and, coming out of that year, going into the spring, going into the next season, saying, I could have been better last year. I should have been better. I'm better now. So I think, from a contextually, I'm not sure if I have a pretty good, I think we all understand where he's coming from, given, at least the conversation I had with you guys last week. I think that's, I don't know if that makes sense, but I think he's thinking about where he is right now versus there, that time a year ago, just reflecting. And that's good. This time is about reflection. And, where you are now versus where you were 6 months ago. I think he's worked hard to improve in a lot of areas, and I think he has. And I think he's, kind of communicated that out.
Thank you.
Ruthie?
Flo, this question kind of goes back to Safid's earlier question, but specifically with Jason McCourty being here. Almost everyone, when you talk about the McCourtys, talks about them outside of football and how good of human beings they are. And obviously you have a lot of experience working with Devin and also Jason together. Just bringing him here has to be exciting for you, just because of how great he is to have around.
Yeah, I mean, Jason's, from a leadership standpoint, from an experience standpoint, he's a good player as well. I think he brings a lot to this team. But again, I would say it's not about Pats players or former, Patriot players. It's about guys who we feel like fit this team. And, those are the types of guys that we bring in. And it's not just former Patriots, but it's, guys from, various other teams as well. So, the guys who we feel like fit, we obviously do our due diligence trying to find out about, the person as well as the player. And, obviously Jason fits the bill as well as a lot of the other guys we brought in.
Barry?
Hi, Brian. We know everything obviously is voluntary now, and when guys aren't out there, often it's because of personal commitment, or maybe they're just training in their hometown or something like that. I was going to ask you, without naming any names, do you believe any of your absences are related to guys who have contractual issues? Maybe they want an extension, maybe they want more money, or based on your conversations with everyone, do you feel like that's not a factor in any of the absences?
I mean, you mentioned it, it's voluntary. And I think after, last year where there was no off season, I think, guys around the league and our team's no different. They found a different way to train, and, they feel comfortable doing that. We have a few on our team, and I respect that. I have no issue with that. I think, my conversations with every player on this team is, they're doing what they need to do to be ready to contribute to this team and practice and play at a level that's going to help us. So yeah, I have no issue as long as they're ready to go. I'm comfortable with that, and I support it.
Thank you.
David?
Flo, I just wanted to go back on the Tua comments. It seemed like he was kind of trying to tiptoe, not throwing maybe his relationship or work relationship with Chan under the bus, but were there times where you felt like he wasn't able to check plays or alert plays, or didn't have a full grasp of what you guys wanted to execute offensively?
Look, I mean, honestly, last year is last year. I'm more of a forward thinker. I'm really kind of focused on practice right now, or walkthrough, which we've got in a couple hours. I understand the question, but I think Tua's. We've talked about his growth a lot, from, in the last 6 months, and his how he's reflected on that. And I think, my focus is on helping him improve on a daily basis. Obviously, you use the past to kind of, point you in the right direction on where to make those improvements. And we'll just continue to, focus on, this one day at a time, and help, Tua, and really every, I know we're talking about a lot of the focus gets put on one player, but it's really every player on the roster. We as coaches, that's what we're trying to do, is help them all get better, improve, reach their potential. And, if we can do that with the individual players and then pull it all together in different units and groups, then hopefully we have a team that can supports one another and can be productive on the field.
Hal?
In what ways did you see improvement out of Raekwon Davis during the course of last season?
I think like every rookie, like every time you practice, you get a rep. It's a good experience. Whether it's a good play or a bad play, you learn something from it. I think that's you see improvement through the course, through his fundamentals, his techniques in practice, and you see that translate into the team portion of practice, or the whatever run period or play action pass period or whatever we're doing in practice. You see those improvements. You see them in the game. You see just an understanding of what we're doing conceptually, what we're doing, why we're doing certain things. And it's not just Raekwon, it's not just Tua, it's really, all the players. Look, this game is about, forming good habits. I talk to the players about that, really on a daily basis. We got to, practice good habits from a ball security standpoint, from a footwork standpoint, from a hand placement standpoint, from attacking the ball. You'll hear all, the coach, you'll hear, Chuck tell the DBs to attack the football. You'll hear Gerald Alexander talk to, the safeties, bad breaks lead to missed tackles, and we can't have missed tackles, so we can't have bad breaks. Like those are we got to practice good habits. When we see guys improve on those habits on a daily basis, that's the improvement that we want to see. And, every coach is tasked with helping the players at their position improve. And, we all try to work together to make sure that happens. And, the players obviously put a lot of work into it as well. So, whether it's Raekwon, whether it's Tua, whether it's Brandon Jones, whether it's, Jesse Davis. We're trying to improve all these guys, or help all these guys improve.
We got time for two more. We'll go to Cam and then finish with Alan.
I have another question, but I wanted to follow up just on what you said. I thought that was interesting with GA and Charles. I'm curious, obviously you were a defensive assistant coming up. Do you see any of yourself in any of your, younger defensive assistants, and kind of share your experiences with them as they go about their career?
I mean, look, it's not just the defensive assistants. I mentioned those guys, but it's really all the coaches. We got a fairly young staff. All these guys work hard. They all, they're hungry to learn and get better and improve and find different ways to help the guys in their groups get better. I mean, that's why they're here. And but specific to Chuck and GA and Campanelli and Austin Clark, Grizz. Yeah, I mean, obviously George and Eric. I think we got guys who are passionate about the game. Lem, passionate about the game, passionate about coaching, passionate about helping their guys improve, passionate about learning the game. There's so many things about the game that the game evolves and it changes every year. Different schemes, different concepts, different modes of play, different rules, different situations. We're all all these guys are eager to learn it all and try to pass that information to the players in hopes that the smallest thing is the difference between making a play and not making a play. And oftentimes in this league, with as good of players as there are, the difference between making the play is this much. And I think we're all trying to find different ways to make up that difference. And I think Chuck, GA, Josh, really everyone on the entire staff, I think they're all passionate about this, and I can hear it on the field. And I know they'll continue to do that. And Lem's the same way, and Colby's the same way, and we're all just trying to get better, myself included.
Thanks. And if I could briefly ask my original question, we talked to you a lot about Tua, obviously, because he's the quarterback. But is there a way that maybe you can contextualize or give us an example of maybe his practice methods or routines that you've seen, in your eyes from last year to this year, and maybe how he's grown?
You're talking about
Tua. Just I know we've talked about the comfort, like maybe an example that you've seen that, hey, this kind of stood out to me and how he's maybe grown, or I noticed this was improved from last year or something, because obviously we weren't there a lot last year, so we can't compare, and this year is a little different because it's walkthrough. So if that makes sense.
I mean, similar to what you're saying, it's walkthrough. So just from a meeting standpoint, I can talk to it, but from I would say he wants a process for he's trying to put together a process for how he studies, how he eats, how he trains, really kind of everything. And I would say I've seen that. So from a scheduling and process and routine and a system standpoint, he's got a system in place, or he's putting together systems that he thinks will help him do X, Y, or Z. Whether it's training, whether it's meetings, whether it's fundamentals, throwing mechanics. I've seen that for sure.
Last question, Alan.
Good morning, Brian. I'm wondering whether there have been internal discussions or with other teams about possibly holding joint practices this summer.
Yeah, there have been some discussions. Nothing truly finalized just yet. But some discussions. We'll see how this goes. I mean, honestly, we don't even have. Kind of still waiting on some of the final protocols and what we can't do. So, but yeah, there's been some discussions, and I'm always in favor of doing joint practices. I think they bring a lot from a camaraderie standpoint, from a competitive standpoint. I think you can get a lot out of those. I know we did, with Tampa a couple of years ago, and my experience is that you get a lot out of those, and it kind of breaks up training camp in a good way, in a positive way.